Drop it. Yeah.
Now, what is going on, everybody? My name is Flexible, and today I've got another video for you. Today I want to talk about the Crusadia Firewall Dragon list that I've been presenting to you over the past few weeks. And also, this is going to be one of the last Crusadia videos I plan on doing for a while. If you don't know anything about the schedule I've planned for this channel yet, then definitely go check out my channel update video that I've done the other day. There I'm going to talk about in more detail what I plan on doing on this channel, what kind of content you're going to see in the future. And yeah, definitely go check that out if you haven't already. But for now, I want to talk about the Crusadia Firewall Dragon list, or more specifically about the problems it has, because yes, it's very fun to play, it's extremely consistent in terms of the amount of extenders and the weights you have into the extenders, but before now I wasn't really able to collect like any experience against control heavy decks or like against back row heavy decks, which I've done by now. And back row is pretty much the biggest problem this deck has, because the standard end board is not going to end you on a spell and trap negation, or maybe on one if you end on like a Dragster or a Savage Dragon. But if your opponent is able to bait out that negation or to make plays and while you're keeping your negation for that one like board wipe or whatever, then that can definitely cost you a game. Like for example, in this case, I didn't even have a spell trap negation on board. I ended on Firewall Dragon, Griffin, and Dweller against a True Draco player, and then he just with Monarch Stormforce tributed away my Firewall Dragon for the Summon of Majesty Maiden. Nothing I can really do about that. So especially if you're not opening the like drawing into the quick launch, which is not guaranteed to happen, of course. Or another alternative is also that you can play the Tri-Gate Wizard instead of the Firewall Dragon or instead of the Griffin. I didn't do that in this case, for example, so that kind of lost me the game, but he might still have been able to win the duel. So against spell and trap heavy decks, you really have to take into consideration beforehand, like while building the deck, that you need to prepare for that, either by adjusting your extra deck or just playing any cards in your main deck to counter those cards. So that's probably actually the biggest problem this combo line has. Another thing is also that the extra deck is very tight and there's not a real follow-up play if you don't open or draw into a Pot of Avarice. But even then it's like, yeah, you can recycle your entire extra deck maybe if you draw into 2, for example. But the problem still stays that the only follow-up play you have is just repeating your entire combo, right? So there's not like an easy OTK combo that you can do. You can just do your combo and hope that you don't get interrupted on your opponent's or like during your turn again by your opponent. Which is also another thing that I want to talk about in a second, being interrupted during your combo. But yeah, essentially there's not really space in the extra deck for like a decent OTK follow-up play. I mean, I guess you could do that, but then you would have to take out, you'd either have to cut down on the combo engine itself, or you'd have to take out some safety cards like Link Spider, for example, which is kind of, I guess it's a trade-off that you can do. Everyone would have to decide that for themselves, I think. But personally I didn't, and then I didn't really have a very good backup plan in some cases. So the tight extra deck is definitely also a problem. And then high attack and defense monsters can also sometimes lose you a game, because without Savage Dragon, the highest attack points you can get on the board is 2800 if you summon your Firewall Dragon under the Saryuja, which would gain the Firewall Dragon 300 attack points. But if you don't do that, even like the highest attack points you can have is 2500 with Griffin and Firewall Dragon both sitting at 2500 base attack. If your opponent summons an Eldritch, for example, in defense position, then you're not going to be able to get over it because it's at 2800 defense points. Or if he summons Eldritch with its own effect and then he gains 1000 attack points and defense points, then you're not even less going to be able to get over it. That's just one example I can think of from recent memory. So these three are essentially the biggest problems this combo deck can face. Back row or spell and trap cards, then follow-up after a broken board, and high attack and defense monsters. Without an Equimax, for example, you're not going to be able to OTK as easily. If you're not able to go into an Avermax, it's also a very big problem, because Avermax can out essentially any monster, but you need monster special summon from the extra deck, so it's kind of a problem in some cases, I guess. Definitely things to keep in mind while building this deck. And then the other thing is also, as I've mentioned before, interruptions. Now, yes, this deck is more consistent than like the Waterfront Gameciel route or whatever. There are more extenders, you have the Saryuja effect available to summon your extenders, so in those regards it's really more consistent. But in terms of being interrupted during your combo, this deck is just as vulnerable as the Gameciel route, or just as any Crusadia deck really. Crusadia is just, I mean, the reason we're not like a meta deck is because we're very normal summon reliant and we're very easily interruptible, especially with the Guard Dragon combo. Because if you get Ash on your Magus and you don't have the Draco in hand already, or you just don't have enough extenders to make your combo, then you're not going to be able to end on anything huge, if even you're going to be able to end on anything. or if you get interrupted on your Spatha LP, then you're locked into dragons, and all you can end on is either a triple burst dragon or an Abramax, which in some cases Abramax might be very good on an endboard, especially after your opponent had to invest some resources to get to stop you from playing your entire combo. But comparing it to what you could have ended on if you weren't interrupted, or if the deck was like more resilient, for example, against interruptions, then definitely a very lackluster endboard, right? So so yeah, that's pretty much to sum this up. The biggest problems this deck is facing in terms of the opponent's factors is spell and trap heavy decks on the opponent's side, a tight extra deck which can sometimes cost you your follow-up plays, and high attack and defense monsters, which if you've used up your removal effects already, then they're gonna be hard to out. Also, the choke points stay essentially the same as in any other Crusadia deck, which is something I don't think we can fix that easily. It's just the bane of a, like, not even rogue deck's existence, right? Normal Sun Reliancy, and also being susceptible to essentially any one hand trap that exists out there. So yeah, this is pretty much anything I can say about this deck. It's still very fun. I like it a lot, and I'm like not going to drop it entirely. I'm still gonna keep that in the back of my head. I'm gonna play it on EDO Pro, whatever. But I think in real life I'm gonna switch back to the Gamma route. First of all, because of some of the problems that I've mentioned now, and also because it's just I started off playing Crusadia first of all as an OTK deck, but then as a combo deck. My first combo version was the Gamma one. So it's kind of, when I think about Crusadia combos, I always think about the Gamma Seal, which is why I feel like I'm going to go back to that one. But the Firewall Dragon version, or the Trigate Wizard version, or the Extra Link version are still very fun to play. And yeah, that's pretty much everything I had to say, guys. This video was kind of improvised. I didn't have any like script prepared for the video, whatever. It might have shown, but I still hope you enjoyed this. I still hope you were able to take away something from this. If you have any suggestions for what you would personally improve on the deck to make it more consistent or more resilient or whatever, then definitely leave it down below in the comments. If you have any questions to the deck, then also leave them down below in the comments. I'm going to respond to that. If you're new to the channel, then subscribe. There's going to be way more cool content in the future. If you enjoyed the video, then leave a like. And other than that, guys, see you next time.